Jerusalem, the heart of the Holy Land. This was the setting of some of the most iconic stories of the Bible. Wandering the city is indeed an uplifting experience. Today we take you on an urban tour of Nevi'im Street, or the Street of the Prophets, in downtown Jerusalem. It is believed that the name the Street of the Prophets was given to the street because of the mosque of Nebi Akasha, located on the top of the street, dedicated to Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. During the 19th century, this street was known as the Hospital Street due to the many medical institutes located here.
From 1860, the new city of Jerusalem began to develop, and parallel to the Jaffa Road, the Street of the Prophets was built, piece by piece, and it was called for a while the Street of the Hospitals, because a number of European Christian powers were building hospitals along the street, including the Italian hospital, which was built around 1910 by the Italians, designed by the great Vatican architect Antonio Barlucci.
Others, like this one, which started as the first hospital outside Jerusalem old city walls and later became an academic institute named Hadassah College.
Here on the Street of the Hospitals, Rehov HaNevi'im is the first Jewish hospital built outside of the old city. It's the Mayor Rothschild Hospital, and it was dedicated in 1888. And it was, again, the first Jewish hospital in the new city of Jerusalem. And today, actually, it was acquired by Hadassah after the First World War.
Even today, Nevi'im Street is a fascinating intersection between different streams of different faiths. We can see one of the few Ethiopian churches in the region in this beautiful compound.
I'm standing in front of the Ethiopian Church here on Ethiopia Street, which was built in stages from 1874 and was completed by the royal Ethiopian family by the early 20th century. And I'm told that it was built round in the African tradition so that Satan cannot hide in the corners.
This is not the only Ethiopian institute in the area. Down the street we see the old Ethiopian consulate, which was built in 1928.
The Ethiopian Church is a very ancient Christian church dating back hundreds of years to the Byzantine period. And they've had a presence in Jerusalem for many centuries, especially at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And in the 1880s, the royal family of Ethiopia decided to donate the money to build this compound here on what would later be called Ethiopia Street. And this whole area would in fact be called by some the Ethiopian Quarter.
During the end of the 19th century, Nevi'im Street was a hot spot for European bohemians, such as British painter William Holman Hunt and architect Conrad Schick, who built his house here, which he called the Tavor House.
He was a devout Protestant. He came originally in 1846 as a missionary, but he would become the most important urban planner and architect and archaeologist for decades. And he would build his house for himself with the proceeds from one of the many models of ancient Jerusalem, including the Second Temple. The house itself is very eclectic, where you see the horns of the altar on the four corners of the roof. You see flowers on top that remind us of Hellenistic temples. Medieval and Renaissance architectural elements also are blended in. And all in all, it's a most interesting and beautiful building. Today it's used by the Swedish Theological Seminary.
Another interesting foreign element may be found just around the corner of Nevi'im Street, this time thanks to the Russians. The Russian compound is a complex consisting of a Russian Orthodox church and several pilgrim guest houses. It was built in 1860 by the Russian Tsar Alexander II.
The Russian imperial family, Tsar Alexander, wanted the Russians to have proper facilities for pilgrimage in the Holy City. So they built hostels for the men and the women who came all the way from Mother Russia to the holy places of Jerusalem. The property, of course, was owned by the Russian Orthodox Church and was leased by the Israeli government. from 1948. And in recent times, I understand that Beit Sergei, the Sergei house, has been returned to the Russians.
Just in front of the Russian Orthodox Church, we find a surprising artifact, perhaps evidence that prove that this area was attractive even before the 19th century.
Behind me is an ancient stone column that was being quarried for Herod the Great's second temple when it was cracked while being quarried. So it was left here as we see it in situ, and it is traditionally called the finger of Og, the biblical giant.
Another famous intersection is that of Nevi'im Street with Strauss Street, which also has a peculiar name with a fascinating backstory.
Well, this street is named in honor, in memory of Nathan Strauss, a New York City Jew who came with his brother Isidore and their families in 1912 to see what was happening here in the land of Israel with the growing Zionist enterprise. And they were touring around the country, visiting the new Zionist settlements here in the land. And when it came time to go home, Nathan Strauss was not ready to leave. He wanted to see more. But his brother Isidore was nagging him to leave, to go home where they had many responsibilities. Finally, Nathan got fed up and he told his brother to leave him alone and go home if he wanted to. But Isidore Strauss and his family tragically never made it back to New York City because they sailed out of Southampton, England in 1912 on a large ocean liner called the Titanic. So by delaying his departure, Nathan Strauss and his family were saved. Kol hakeva letova. Every delay is for the best, they say. In any case, when later he would meet his maker, Nathan Strauss bequeathed part of his estate to the Zionists here in the land of Israel, and the town of Netanya is named in his honor, as well as Nathan Strauss Street here in downtown Jerusalem.
After the creation of the State of Israel, Nevi'im Street became a hectic area alongside some of the main routes in Jerusalem, but its uniqueness remained inside the beating heart of the Israeli capital.